What's up, beautiful babies? Welcome to another episode of Bailcast. I'm Gio.
And I'm Bart.
And we've been watching this really cool documentary on Bruce Lee, Be Water.
I've been loving all the 30 for 30s and like that whole series that's been coming out.
Is it a 30 for 30?
Yeah, that one is.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if Last Dance is considered 30 for 30, but it's like a ESPN film or it's released there. But Be Water, I think, is so dope because, you know, like growing up, just because there's such little Asian American representation, like all of our childhood heroes are Michael Jordan. You know, it's either you got to choose like a white hero or a black hero because that's what's just on TV. And so for a lot of Asians like me, or even just Asian, second generation Asian, whether you're Asian Canadian or Asian Australian or Asian whatever, there's not too many people that you can relate to because you can't really watch an Asian film and relate. Like I don't really relate that much to Jackie Chan or to Jet Li. Like I still like them, you know?
Yeah, because he's like Asian from Asia.
And they just stayed there, you know?
It's a different life.
Yeah, it's different. And so seeing Bruce Lee, knowing he was born in America and he made movies here like Enter the Dragon, it's just really cool to see someone back in those days where there's even less Asian representation for him to come out and not only kill it, but also be so inspiring and so charismatic
and influential
that other people wanted to be like him. So I almost consider him like the Michael Jackson for Asians. You know, like, you know, when you watch Michael Jackson, like as a kid, like all of us, regardless what your race, Indian, Hispanic, whatever, you wanted to move like him and everyone mimicked his sounds, right? Like, like everyone knows those sounds, right?
And he goes, what the?
Same thing with Bruce Lee. So, the minute you go, like, you know exactly where you're trying to be. And when you try to throw a sidekick or you're trying to move around or you try to go like this and you put your fingers up and like hang loose, you know exactly who you're trying to be. And he just has this signature style swag to all of his movement. And so to me, he was like my Michael Jackson. He was the guy that everyone tried to imitate, but no one could be him.
Yeah. So for me, I didn't really know or really care too much for Bruce Lee growing up.
You never watched any of his movies?
Mm-mm.
Oh, what?
I mean, I didn't care about fighting shit, you know? Like I cared about girly shit. I didn't care about like fighting and all that. And then I cared even less about foreign shit.
Damn.
Sorry.
You didn't care about his stories? He had good stories too.
What do you mean story? Like the movie had a story, like a good
like
story?
Fist of Fury, had a really good story.
No, it lost me at Fist.
Damn.
Yeah. So
what
I
about
didn't like
Enter the Dragon.
Dragon. Yeah, damn. I didn't care about fighting.
So a movie named Dragon Fist, you would hate it even more.
Oh
then.
God, that would make me throw the fuck up.
What about Fist Dragon?
Yeah. Oh my God, that's violence.
That's a porno.
Fist of Dragon.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't my type of movie. Like I didn't like that genre and stuff. I forgot when I was introduced to him. Maybe in college. I feel like my bubble was pretty small in high school. It was just my immediate surroundings. That's all I really knew. And we didn't really have access to cable too much. And the one we did, it was just like we would just watch movies. So I wasn't really exposed to too many cultures too much.
So you're saying he never really inspired you?
Not at all.
When did you ever think of him as like, oh man, this guy's special. He's something else.
Well, I saw how it was this foreign guy that came here. So he was born in San Francisco, but then he went back.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why he has this thick ass accent, because I would consider him more Chinese than I would American. So
his accent's actually also very unique. It's so, you know, he moved back to Hong Kong in British occupied Hong Kong. So he has like his accent. That's why it's so hard to imitate too. It's American plus Cantonese plus British. Because he has like, he speaks like the British English, but he does have the Cantonese influence. So it's a really interesting. So you can't just play like a Cantonese accent and nail his accent. Like his accent is very, very unique.
Okay. I didn't know that. But yeah, so I saw this guy who came here and like people, like he just like what I said, like he influenced a fucking movement, you know, like he started this movement, he changed martial arts, and there was just a bunch of white people wanting to learn from him.
Black people too.
Black people, right. There were just non-Asians were trying, or non-Chinese specifically, were trying to learn from him because they just saw that he brought so much to the table. And like his style, people wanted to be like him, just looks wise, and like he was just jacked. And I'm like, holy shit. So that's when I was just like, damn, this dude is huge. What he was able to do in such a short amount of time was crazy to me, because it's like the peak of fucking racism too. You know, like people like we had just like left the era of the fucking yellow peril. You know what I mean? Where like white people were dressing up and putting tape on their eyes so that they can look like Chinese people specifically, like, and Japanese. So like it wasn't too long ago that we had just left that, and now you have this Chinese guy coming in and completely influencing all these like Chinese people, and I thought that was fucking magical. I'm like, holy shit, that's tight. But
did you think it was magical growing up, or you thought it was magical after you watched the documentary?
After I watched stuff on him.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, which I was probably in my 20s at that point. But anything before that, I was never really exposed to it. I never had a reason to be exposed to it. You know, I grew up in such a small bubble.
I wish, like growing up, I wish more people were exposed to it too. Cause I did Kung Fu, right? So my uniform was what Bruce Lee wears. It's like this cotton uniform with the buttons down the middle. And
you said you hated it before until he.
Yeah, and I hated it because I thought it looked so cheesy, it looked so weird. And
it kind of looked a little bit feminine too.
Yeah.
Because it's all silk. Like it doesn't look dangerous.
Yeah. And then growing up, like most people at that time did either karate or they did taekwondo. And you know, their uniforms are like square and boxy, kind of looks like Dickies, like construction uniform. And even the forms, it's very like rigid. It's like very like, you know, 2 steps, like angles. And then Kung Fu, you have like this wavy movement, and it just looks kind of like flowery and like half Tai Chi looking. And when Bruce Lee comes out, and he comes out with his own swag of his version, and you're like, oh shit. And like most of his films, he's just beating the shit out of people that do karate. And you're like, man, that's tight. And so it gave me pride in the Kung Fu that I was doing, and then the clothes that I was wearing. And then I'll try to explain that to a lot of my friends, but a lot of them didn't watch it yet, so they didn't see how dope he was. I'm like, oh man, imagine like loving Michael Jordan and none of your friends watch basketball. It was almost like that. I'm like, come on, this guy's so fucking sick. And
were they Asian?
Some were Asian, some were not Asian.
They didn't know who he was?
Yeah, I think like Chinese people, like he's like a pride and joy of Chinese people first and foremost. So it's like,
oh, they were Asian but not Chinese,
like Korean or
I see.
So for them, I don't think they latched onto him as hard as I did, and especially I grew up in Cerritos where there's a lot of Asians, so I don't think people needed to. You know, it's like I think you know, when Jeremy Lin was killing it in basketball, if you lived in a city where there's just very few Asians, I think everyone had Jeremy Lin pride, like Vietnamese, Korean, whoever you name it. So, but I grew up in a city where there's a lot of Asians, and then I think Koreans just stuck to the whole K-pop stuff. And then for me, I was like, man, this guy's fucking cool, and it almost legitimized the hobby that I had.
Yeah, you can almost like you understand the depth and the breadth of like how impactful Bruce Lee was, because till this day in 2020, there's still documentaries coming out on him, and I'm like, how much more can you say? Like, haven't we uncovered all of it since when did he pass away? The 70s?
I don't know.
80s maybe?
A long time ago, yeah.
Yeah, and it's been like almost 40 years, and we're still putting out documentaries because there's still that demand and thirst to want to learn more about him. And I'm like, that's fucking legendary.
He's such a man of mystery. Like, I wish I knew more. I mean, I read a bunch of his books in high school with my dumb high school brain. So I probably only took away like 10% of his information. But like what was dope about him is not only was he a martial artist, he was also a philosopher. He was also very athletic. And he was the first to bridge the gap to even start applying strength and conditioning. Because a lot of people would think like, oh, like it's going to slow you down or it's going to make you stiff. And he goes, but other sports also do strength and conditioning, and they don't seem to slow down. So there must be a right and wrong way to do things. And he was like focusing on nutrition, and he was just like way ahead of his time. And I think it's just so cool.
Yeah, it is super cool. But yeah, for me, I'm just like, that was really cool. But I just didn't build that connection.
Was there a connection like that for you?
I was just trying to think about that.
Like the Golden Girls or something?
That I was proud to be like, fuck yeah.
Xena Warrior Princess?
Maybe like anytime I saw
Dr.
like
Quinn Medicine Woman?
the first one, you want to know what it was? Where I was like, oh shit, that's pretty tight. But I mean, it impacted me. But it didn't leave a huge mark.
Demi Moore in the Navy SEAL movie, G.I. Jane?
I Love Lucy.
Oh.
Yeah, I Love Lucy for me was kind of revolutionary because when I discovered this show, I was probably in like elementary or like middle school. And it blew my mind that in a black and white era of TV shows that there was someone out there speaking my native tongue, which is Spanish, right? I mean, granted, he's Puerto Rican, I think. On the show, he played a Cuban guy, but I think he was Puerto Rican. Unless he's actually Cuban, I forgot. Anyway, but yes.
Ricky Ricardo?
Yeah. So, so it's this American woman that falls in love and marries a nightclub performer named a Cuban nightclub performer named Ricky Ricardo, and he's like the fucking a star, or he's trying to be a star. But yeah, and like he came from Cuba, so he has a thick accent, and then when when something happens, he'll passionately speak in Spanish, and I'm like, oh shit, I understand everything he's saying. What the fuck? And that like really blew my mind.
You know what's crazy? Like just understanding other people's perspectives. Because from an Asian standpoint, if we see Cuban, like this is from back in like the 90s, right? Obviously, we're way more woke now. And I could even tell a difference between within Latinos or even within like the Caucasian community. I'm like, oh, this person's Irish, this person's Scottish or Scandinavian or whatever. But growing up,
they're all the same.
We just have one word, which is Waigoran, right? And Waigoran just means outside of the country people. So to me, Mexican was white, Puerto Ricans white, Cubans white. You might as well call black people white. It's just like from the Asian lens, the Asian perspective, it was either you were Western or you were Eastern. So for me, when I watched a show like that, I didn't even know he had a Cuban accent or anything like that. I just thought he just talked different and he talked funny. And that was just another shade of white person. And so everyone on TV to me was white. Even if I saw Michael Jordan or if I saw like Family Matters, it wasn't like watching a black family. Like from my super Asian centric lens, it was like these are all Westerners and they all belong to each other. And I'm like, man, I can't wait till I see an Asian person on screen and everyone is just Western or white.
Oh wow! And you didn't know that you weren't going to see Asian on screen because you were in the Western country. Yeah,
but I didn't
You're like,
know.
It's gonna happen soon.
So the first show I remember seeing like an Asian person on screen, I'm like, oh shit, that's tight. Do you remember the show called The Vanishing Sun or Vanishing Sun?
What's the difference between the titles? You just took up the...
I forgot if I had that or not, yeah.
No, I don't.
But it was starring Russell Wong.
No.
And so I'm like, damn, that's tight. We got an Asian guy on screen. And it didn't last very long. It lasted maybe a season or two. Maybe even not 2 seasons.
What was the show about?
I just remember him running a lot.
Oh, so I could see why.
Maybe that's why he was vanishing. But I just remember him running all over the place. He was a very handsome Asian dude. And he just kept running all the time. Mm. And I don't know if he was running from bad guys or good guys or he was just running. And that was like the first time I saw someone like Asian on screen. And I think maybe before that, because I didn't really watch TV before that, maybe like George Takei on Star Trek.
Yeah.
But by that time though, like Star Trek is such a sci-fi thing. You had aliens and shit. Like, so it didn't feel relatable. It wasn't like an Asian guy. It's like, he might as well have been an alien, you know? He might as well have been some fucking weird creature that they picked up on a weird planet.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, oh, he represents me with his fucking pointy sideburns and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then another one that like I felt like, okay, cool, some representation was Saved by the Bell.
There's some Asian people in there?
No, I'm not Asian, fool.
Oh, damn, foe.
Damn, foe. No, with Mario Lopez's Slater.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, he's for sure Latino. And like, I felt like that was cool.
Oh, that's tight. Because for me, they're all white people, including Lisa. From an Asian-centric lens, it was just all Westerners. And like the TV that I watched, I'm like, that's high school.
That goes to show you though the how little representation we all had compared to white people. Because I can like name off how many shows like I felt like represented, or like I felt like, oh, okay, someone like me's in there, and there weren't very many.
Because this could be very inaccurate.
This is me growing up in the 80s and 90s, by the way.
Yeah, this could be really inaccurate. But in growing up in the 80s and 90s, like let's say from a white lens, right? You watch shows like, remember Andy Griffith Show? Right. And then so you have you probably watch like all white people in there. So the minute you have a splash of color to the white lens, that might be like, oh shit, cool, diversity up in here, right? But from an Asian lens, watching the same thing, it's just more Westerners. So just you call them Latino, I call them white. And then they have like a black guy. I'm like, you call him black guy, call him white still, because it's still just not Asian. And I'm like, because the minute you see a chinky-eyed motherfucker, it could be Filipino, it could be whatever. Then I'm like, we got some Eastern up in that motherfucker. And I almost never saw that.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, same here. I mean, you saw it way less. But yeah, I never felt like I connected with anyone on screen and shit, because I'm just like, they're not representing me. Like, I don't feel any sort of connection. And any TV show, I think, I don't think I felt that connection that you have felt with Bruce Lee.
Yeah, like I used to love watching Chip with Eric Estrada.
Oh.
And they're just two Americans to me.
Yeah, he didn't seem Mexican to me. And that was a 70s show, so that was kind of before my time. I don't even think I caught too many reruns of that.
Oh. Yeah, I would just watch that. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Even in Living Color, I didn't feel like there was Latino. At least I don't remember it hitting me, going like, oh shit, she's one of us. I don't remember that.
Like, yeah, from when I watch In Living Color, what's majority black cast, to me, I'm like, yeah, they should be on TV because they're American. So it wasn't like I know from the American native, like people that were born here, and from the black perspective, it's like, oh shit, majority black comedy sketch show, revolutionary, telling stories that people haven't heard. I know that's how powerful that was, but from a newcomer coming in, I'm like, that's what I expected to see on TV.
Yeah.
Like me seeing the Wayans and seeing Jim Carrey, to me, they're all Westerners. Yeah.
Yeah. I think right now, I feel like the most representation is happening for us people that speak Spanish.
For everything. I see a lot, which is really cool.
It is super cool.
Like
I
Indian, Pakistani, like I just see like more and more diversity. It's really, really awesome.
It is really awesome. And that was one of the things that I kind of like envied about like British TV, is like their cast was way more diverse than it was out here in the US. You know, I don't know any other country. Like we don't get too many shows from other countries played over here the way like British TV is. So I wouldn't know if there is more diversity. But yeah, growing up with British TV, I would see like Indians being like leads, you know, because out here, like the lead was always like the white person, you know, like they're the lead character. The other ones are the supporting cast. Even
within the white too, there's a specific leading man white.
Yeah.
Like having a like that type be a leading man is new. Like, you know, in Spider-Man, like starting a teenager that's kind of unsure of himself, kind of dweeby a little bit. Like that's even a kind of like a new thing too. Like people were they thought having a non-typical leading man like that's full of charm, like they thought that was taking a risk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But real quick, let's introduce our sponsor.
Thank you, Noom, for sponsoring this podcast. Noom. Getting in shape doesn't have to be about losing a specific amount of weight or a magic number on the scale. It's about building healthier habits and feeling better about yourself. And that's what I really love about Noom, because I've coached a ton of people before, and the most important thing to be able to make a change in yourself is building the habits. Because if you don't have the habits, you're not going to have the daily tools that you need to accomplish your goals. So for them, they take a habit building into a whole lifestyle into consideration, so that there's the psychological aspects and there's also the social aspects, like how do you make good choices if you're out eating with your friends, and what are things to prevent you to put you in a bad mood and makes you have a bad decision. What are things that you can do to have a better mood so you can make good decisions? And they have a very comprehensive approach to achieving your fitness goals. It's based in psychology, and Noom teaches you why you do the things you need to do and empowers you with the tools you need to break the bad habits and replace them with better ones, because you need these good habits in order to accomplish your goals. And you don't have to change it all in one day. Small steps make big progress. Sign up for your trial today at Noom.com. That's Noom.com/Bail, BEAW, Noom.com/Bail, and get fit today.
And we're back. But yeah, you're right. So, but that was one of the things that I envied about, British TV, was that like I would see like Indian actors as leads, without like the racist fucking Indian portrayal of them, like of like a thick accent, and they're like wearing, certain clothing. It was just like, no, we're all British and we have the British accent and we're just British. And I thought that was fucking cool. And I'm like, damn. Why don't we have that out here? Like, why don't we have that type of diversity out here?
That's one of the things that people really, I guess, complain about. And people, I think it's like 2, 3, 4, 5-fold, and it's not that simple, because there's a lot of people that are bitter about it, and then they're like, man, Hollywood doesn't give us any motherfucking chances, and that sucks. They're purposely trying to hold the minorities and the diverse people down. And that's one way of looking at it, and I don't think that's really true. I really, really think it's a money issue, because when it comes down to it, Hollywood is a giant business, and when you're a studio exec, like when you want to be a star, right? Like you see movies and projects, like, oh, I want to be in Star Wars. Oh, I want to be the next Marvel superhero. You're thinking about the project. When you're at the top level and you're a studio exec, those projects, they're just your products. That's like selling a cheeseburger. It's like selling French fries. From that top level down, when you look at all the movies, you're not looking at the individual projects. You're just like, oh yeah, we're gonna come out 50 movies this year. And when you're looking at it from that way, they're just seeing which one of these movies is gonna make my company money, and what are the ingredients I need to make sure that each one of these things are profitable. So I think this is the part where what I really love about the Latino community and also the Black community is that when there's a Black project, or if there's a Latino project, people jump behind it and they support it to the death of it, right? So when they support it like crazy, there's money there. And then Hollywood, since they don't really see black or white, they really see green, in my opinion. They're like, oh shit, we need to fund this project more because it's a profitable business. They're seeing it as a business. One thing that, like, even when remember back on TNT, like there was a George Lopez show. I'm like, that's so dope to have like a late night show, or even a night show that was a non-white person. I'm like, that's fucking sick. And it came on for a couple of seasons. I remember we used to look forward to watching it. And it takes community support to put their dollars there for them to keep funding these projects. But with Asians, the thing that sucks about being Asian is that we all have a little bit of tiger mom, tiger dad in us. And so we all have a little bit of haterade. So someone will come on screen, and instead of just going out and unconditionally supporting, they're like, nah, he's not that good. Even with like Jeremy Lin, I remember people going like, he's just an average basketball player, but it's just so happened that he's Chinese, so that there's all this like people looking at him. But how is someone like him ever going to break through, and how's the next Jeremy Lin going to break through if everyone's support is conditional?
Yes, I guess I have two things to say to that. The first one, in terms of like your example of how like exec level people look at movies, right? Because clearly it's a business at the end of the day. Why are you in business? Because you're worried about the bottom line and you want to make sure you're always in the black and you're profiting. Because then if you're not profiting,
You don't have a business.
then there's no point in being in business, right?
Yeah.
So I get that. But the sad part about it is because racism is so embedded in so many different cultures, right? Like in the Mexican culture, like you're gonna be made fun of depending how dark your skin is. You know, they're gonna classify you differently if you're lighter versus darker. You know, like that's kind of race. That's what is it called? Skin. I don't know.
Like,
but that's
being
racist.
Prejudice towards darker skin.
Yeah, it is. It is. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because like if you look at like TV and shit that's coming out, like you want to cast the lighter skinned Mexicans to be the leads for the most part, and then the darker ones are usually the help, or they're not the ones that are appealing, right? They're not the ones that are selling. So I think in every culture there is some degree to that, but in the U.S., because I live here, I know a little bit more. There is a lot of racism, but I guess the film industry doesn't see that they need to change that. You know, like for them, they're like, I'm just trying to profit. I'm just trying to make money. All I see is green. But they are so powerful that if they wanted to, they can completely change that.
Well, the consumers also got to help change that too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But
So if you're Hispanic and you're supporting Hispanic projects, and if you're darker and you see someone that relates to you on screen, you need to go out and support that more so that Hollywood or the business people, they can see that there's money in that market, because they're not looking at the cheeseburger and the hamburger, right? They're not specifically like being prejudiced towards cheese or not, or they could be. Who knows?
I know, but it's such a complicated, multifaceted, multi-layered problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because now it's like you're asking an underserved community and a community that like the socioeconomic state of that community tends to be of middle, maybe even low middle class to like lower income. You know what I mean? So like there's a lot of limited resources there. So for them to go out and support a movie, like, yeah, they can do that and they can like vote with their dollar, but already the dollar vote is not as much as it would be for like a white, right? But what I was trying to say was they have so much influence to start switching that and start casting more people of color. That's all I was trying to say. But because the masses is also participating in like, I don't know, not even understanding that they're being racist or that they're supporting racism, that movie might not do good because they're not used to seeing what they've been conditioned to watch.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, I think you got to make a change where you can make a change, right? So like, let's say, because the person that owns a burger shop, they're going to make more cheeseburgers if cheeseburgers sell more.
Yeah.
And they're going to make more hamburgers if hamburgers sell more.
Yeah. And for them, it's
right?
not they're not supposed to really be looking at they're just looking at what is a hot selling item. Let me supply the demand.
So like, let's say cheeseburgers sell more, but you want more hamburgers. You want this restaurant to make more hamburgers. Then we got to buy more hamburgers. Or on the flip side, you go work at this restaurant and you purposely make more hamburgers.
Yeah.
But you got to make a change where it happens.
Yeah.
And just strictly just demanding the restaurant owner to make more hamburgers, it's tough because they're going to be like, why? You know what I mean? So I think with the whole like movie industry and stuff, it's if you want to, like, let's say, Wonder Woman just came out. If we want to see more female strong superheroes, all women got to go out and support and watch that movie. Not only that, grab your husbands, grab your girlfriends, grab whoever. Everyone got to go out and watch that. But on the flip side, way more women got to go out and audition and write and create. So it has to be a twofold thing where there's if the casting, all the casting directors like, hey, you guys aren't going to believe this, but every single script that came in this year, it's a strong female lead. And guess what? People that are auditioning, they're all strong female leads. And there's a ton of dollars in strong female leads. It'll skew everything. It has to like make a change where you can make it happen. If you can vote with the dollar, vote with the dollar. If you can't vote with the dollar, go on the back end and make changes there. Like be the puppet master and be the person that pays for the show.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like duh, right?
Oh, it's not
But there's
duh.
just
It's
but
not
there
duh
is
because people don't people are lazy.
I mean, I guess, right? But then there's also like a lot of red tape. Like there's also like a lot of
There's
like
definitely red tape too.
there's like a lot of shit that's just I don't know. There's just a history of it being one way and now trying to make a change. It's just a hard thing to do.
It's very
you know?
difficult.
But if you can organize and like you said, like unify and organize, then that's when you can make an impact.
And that's why I think it's really important to keep people's eyes and ears open. Like if you're for a specific cause, sometimes that cause lies outside of what's right ahead of you. So let's say you want to have more women empowerment, or you have like for Asians, for example, if you want to see if you want to see more Asian leads in media, whatever, support every single Asian thing that comes out. Don't just go, oh wait, what? That's on that weird app? Nah. Because that's what it starts there. You gotta, if you want to see more Asian representation, that's what I loved about YouTube, where YouTube wasn't the YouTube of today. It was like some weird server space, but there was Asian talent there, and people came and they supported and they watched YouTube, and it helped build all the Asians on YouTube to a point where a lot of people crossed over. And I think you have to constantly keep pushing forward with that mentality and not have that judgmental eye where you're like, I'm only going to support an Asian once they're into Hollywood, because it takes all of that to get into Hollywood. So that's what I mean by it's really important to keep your eyes and ears open, because you have to vote with your dollar. And sometimes it's going to be, and you can't be judgmental with it. Like you just got to unconditionally vote wherever you can, whenever you can. If it's not on an app that you recognize, who gives a shit? Fuck it. Constantly put things out there. And I think that's really important. That's what it's going to take to finally win.
Yeah. I think that's what thing, I can't even believe I'm going to say this shit, but she's someone that just kind of popped into my brain as you were saying this. But someone like Kim Kardashian was really able to influence the masses. Because before her...
And she's a person of color.
Exactly. She's Armenian. So before her, though, like having a big butt wasn't something that was desirable, at least in the U.S. Like in the Latin community, in the Black community, in other communities, big asses were the shit. You know what I mean? Like we didn't want a flat ass, but like for the masses, at least, I guess Caucasian people, that wasn't favorable, that wasn't desired. And it was like big titties. Like we want big titties, And I remember J-Lo coming out and she had a big butt, but I don't remember her being as impactful as like when Kim was doing it, even though, I mean, we can say it's fake or whatever, but she stuck to her guns and was like, nah, like I'm a voluptuous woman. I have curves. This is what I want to look like. This is what I look like. Take it all. And now it's like, I feel like she just revolutionized fucking how like we see females now, And I'm like, damn, that's tight. Like to switch it from like big titties to now like we got curves, motherfucker. Like oh shit, that's fucking tight. Like she stuck to her guns and she knew who she was. Regardless if you call her fake or dumb or like no talent or whatever, it's like, I think just sticking to your guns is talent in itself, because there's...
Especially from where she came from, because she came out of being famous from a sex tape. And so to dig yourself out of like is seemingly like the lowest of holes.
Well, I mean, it's a little bit different for her because it was something that was leaked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like for that, it was like, oh, well, she didn't really have control over it. Like, yeah, she should have been careful.
But people didn't even know who she was before the sex tape.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I found out about Kim
through the sex tape.
Yeah, but I found out about her as, oh, that's Ray J's chick.
Yeah.
So it was more of a leaked Ray J sex tape. Can you believe it? This guy, Brandy's brother, has a leaked sex tape. Yeah. That's how low she was on my radar. Like in terms of like fame. It was almost like this is how crazy it is. It's almost, imagine Justin Bieber has a leaked sex tape.
Oh, I like Justin Bieber. That was pretty good.
So imagine Justin Bieber had a leaked sex tape with a groupie, right? And that groupie blows the fuck up. That's how I view Kim, which is like from the lowest of the lows, where most people think are the lows, and she goes all the way to that high, and she makes a change from that end. That's sick. That's so inspiring.
Just her work ethic.
Like just like, you know, I hear a lot of like, I mean, this happens.
She wasn't the lows from the lows. Like she's still part of, like she's still above us at her lows.
But it's not just about where your actual position is. It's also where you're branded, right? So like if you're like, let's say you're Screech, Dustin Diamond, right? You try to come back out right now. When people see you show up in the auditioning room, they see, oh shit, this has-been's here.
You talk about Drake right now? You talk about Drake?
Drake? Why?
I mean, he started off on TV and he was...
No, I'm talking about Screech.
I know, but I'm talking about Drake. So he started off...
No, but he never has reached the has-been title.
I don't know. He started off like on a kid's show and
No, I'm talking about has-been.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? Like David Hasselhoff.
Yeah. Okay.
He shows up in an audition room. We're like, oh shit. Okay. It's almost now it's time. The casting director is putting away their script and going, entertain me. I can't wait to see this fucking, this train wreck.
Yeah.
You know? Like that's how so in many ways, David Hasselhoff is starting behind where a new actor coming out, because you're like, okay, I'm going to take this guy seriously.
Yeah,
so that's what I mean.
Because his shelf life is still good, and you're saying the other one pretty much
there
expired.
has been now.
Yeah.
So so that's what I'm talking about with Kim. I'm not talking about where her actual financial status and where her family is. I'm just talking about in terms of branding. Imagine she shows up in an audition, and you're like, wait, isn't that the chick that was sucking Ray J's dick? You know what I mean? Like, so imagine that start. But for her, what I really admire about her, and this is what happens a lot in the Asian community that I hope we can change, is there's just a lot of complaining about we don't see enough Asians in the media. We don't do enough of this. She's like, I'm going to make a change. I'm going to go into the system and I'm going to make a change there and you'll see. And so she made a huge change from what is a lot of people think is career ending. You know?
Yeah. On that note, let me pause you real quick and introduce our next sponsor. Thanks so much to Skillshare for sponsoring this podcast. I'm super excited to be working with them just because I absolutely love learning a bunch of different courses on their platform. So for those of you that haven't heard of Skillshare, they are an online learning community with thousands and thousands of courses from like creative to freelance to entrepreneurship to lifestyle, writing, photography, design, web development, marketing, you name it, it's probably on there. And I've taken a few courses. I've done like iPhone photography. I've done regular photography. I've done interior design classes, and I love them because I get to learn at my pace when I'm ready to do it. And it's super intuitive, really easy to use. And right now we're all stuck at home. So why not sharpen those tools right now that we have the time to do so? Because once, you know, we're put back into the world, it's like we gotta get back into the hustle mode. And what did we like leave our house learning?
Yeah, and all your time sucked back up again.
Yeah. So right now that you have the time to do so, let's break up the routine of just spending the day indoors, staying in pajamas all day, and let's explore some workshops, let's take some classes, let's learn stuff on, you know, graphic design. Let's do some stuff on productivity, on freelance, on entrepreneurship. There's so many classes, you guys. And right now, for everyone listening, you guys are going to get 2 months free of premium membership at Skillshare.com/bear. That's, I mean, you guys, you have nothing to lose. 2 months for free. That's 60 days of free learning at your pace. Just go to Skillshare.com/bear, BEAW.
And you can go to class naked.
Yeah.
That's tight.
Do it. And we're back. Yeah, I guess I guess looking at it that way, yeah. That's true. She didn't really have I don't really know what she was. I don't know her backstory that much. I don't know what she was aspiring to be. Like all I know was she was a stylist. So she was like, and she wasn't just like a regular like I could book her type stylist. Like she was working with like with actual celebrities and stuff. So she was already in that world and like...
Yeah, she was hanging out with... she used to date Reggie Bush, which is a running back. Like she's already in the celebrity circle.
Yeah. But for her to be like, okay, I'm I'm this like I'm an Armenian chick amongst, white Hollywood, and for her to just be like, hey, I'm just gonna do me. I think that's like the best shit we can control. You know what I mean? Like, yeah,
That's
it's
so
unfortunate. It's unfortunate that the system's broken and it was built, at a time where racism was like fucking crazy. And like, of course, we all want to change that. But I think the most things that we can control is just pushing through all that shit, and it sucks that you even have to push through it because you shouldn't have to push through it. But that's not the reality, And kind of like going back to what you were saying is like just going into the system and like changing it yourself.
Like, who would have thought 10 years ago if you would have said, there's this group of Armenian sisters that's going to be one of the most popular families in the world? People were like, what? That's crazy.
Yeah.
This group of Armenian sisters, each one of them is a powerhouse in their own right. That's pretty crazy.
The mom's a fucking powerhouse. Both moms are powerhouses.
Who's the other mom?
Caitlyn, I think that's her name now. Caitlyn Jenner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right? I'm kind of weird with their names. And then, yeah, every single one of those chicks is fucking smashing it. That's so awesome,
Yeah.
But yeah, like, so I guess going back to Bruce Lee, like that's, I mean, we've talked about this in past podcasts, but like someone that's confident for me is I'm so attracted to that, and not just like sexually attracted, just like that energy. Like I can't wait to just be around that space because I love that. I love someone that's
Bruce Lee is one of the most confident people I've ever met.
Yeah, I love someone that could even be cocky, but like they can back up their words.
Everything he says is bars. You know what I mean? Like he just has this look like, when the birds fly in the sky, is the sky really there?
That doesn't sound like bars. That sounds like fucking hype, fucking weed talk.
Shit. You're like, when the bird is flying in the air, is the bird leaving the earth or is the earth leaving the bird? And you're like, damn.
How's that bars?
Damn, this feels deep.
The deep maybe, but how's that bars?
That's what bars are.
I thought bars meant like you say some dope shit.
Yeah, it's dope.
The bird leaving the fucking sky or the sky leaving the bird.
Confucius was all about bars.
All right, fine.
That was full of bars.
All right. Whatever. We can agree to disagree. I forgot I was saying, oh yeah, the confident stuff. Yeah, just give me a fucking cocky, confident person that can back their shit up. And I'm like, I'm all over that shit. I love that shit. Cause I feel like, yeah, you can go through any sort of adversity and you're still gonna like succeed. Cause it's like you believe in yourself so fucking much. And at the same time you don't because you work so fucking hard, but you believe in what your capabilities are so much that nothing can tear you down. And I think that's fucking sick.
I think that's what attracts people to all the high performers.
True.
Like Michael Jordan. He calls himself Black Jesus.
Oh, I love that shit.
Michael Jordan.
I love it so much.
Bruce Lee, Muhammad Ali, Conor McGregor.
Oh, I love it so much.
Like there's all these people that are just so confident and it's just oozing out of them and they know they're the best. Like Anderson Silva, like I just thought it's electric. It pulls you towards them.
For me, Anderson Silva, I never took as like a cocky, confident person.
Oh, it's just because he doesn't speak English that well.
Oh.
But like when he has just this, he's just dripping in swag.
Okay.
Like when he first came back, he made one video on Nike and it literally is, I'm back. And he's like,
well, I mean, Michael Jordan did it first, so it's not as crazy.
Yeah.
And it's Michael Jordan, so I don't know.
Anderson Silva can widely consider the Michael Jordan of MMA.
That's very true. Anderson Silva is a fucking GOAT.
Yeah.
For sure. I'm not going to take that away from him.
And he's fucking smooth.
He is smooth. He's real smooth.
During his heyday, he was pretty unstoppable. He was Neo. He was the Matrix.
I know, but it just breaks my heart that my last images
I remember getting knocked out.
Oh, no, when his leg broke.
Yeah.
And he broke it himself.
That's why some people feel like it's smart that Conor McGregor retired right now. Because he didn't retire when he's on top. He did retire with a big win.
This is like his third retirement though, isn't it?
I don't think so.
I think so. I think it's his third. I think he just announced it again that he's retiring.
He did it before?
I think so. Yeah.
What was the other retirement?
What do you mean? Well, I mean, it's literally retiring. What do you mean?
No,
what
but
the
like
other one is?
after which
what at what point?
yeah, what point? What
Let me
are
look
the
it up.
points of
Oh,
retirement?
damn it. Hold on. You made me clear this.
I didn't make you do anything.
I know you didn't.
just got big fingers.
Hey, wow.
can't
Whoa,
control
whoa,
them.
whoa. Don't make fun of me like that. But keep talking. I'm going to look this up.
Yeah, I don't think I don't know. To me, I think this is Conor's first time. He did just beat Donald Cerrone. It was a tough opponent, and he pretty much dismantled his ass. And if he does retire, I don't really know. I actually don't even believe if he's really retiring, just because I know the type of legacy he's trying to do.
He says he first walked away in March 2006 after deciding not to travel to the United States to take part in the news conference of his rematch against Nate Diaz. He eventually returned later. And then McGregor also retired via Twitter in April 2019 in the midst of negotiations with UFC, which were ultimately resolved. And he returned to action in January, defeating Donald Cerrone in 40 seconds. But
in that case, I don't think he really retired. I don't know what he's trying to pull up his sleeve.
Well, he said he's bored of the game. That's what he told ESPN. I'm here watching the fight. I watched the last show with Tyson Woodley and then Gilbert Burns show. Tyron, sorry. I watched the show tonight. I'm just not excited about the game. I don't know if it's the no crowd. I mean, that would contribute to it. McGregor, what the fuck? But I don't know what it is. There's no buzz for me. I mean, that's probably literally it. We're fucking in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah.
And he's going, it's boring. But it's like,
he's like, where's the crowd
there's
at?
no people, dude.
That's funny.
I can't believe he called it out himself too. But yeah, he retired on Sunday morning.
Did you see what Mayweather said to him? He's like good, like happy retirement. And he goes, but if you need someone to kick your ass again, let me know.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
What's pretty cool about that?
That because it sounds like they have like a little, like a friendship.
And I think what he's really trying to do is plant, because like I know the people at that level, it's all chess moves, right? No one's gonna have a single wasted tweet, single word that doesn't lead to the next thing.
Unless you're fucking Donald Trump.
Even that, I think, are chess moves. I think he purposely knows how to rile people up to
vote against him so that he's not in office anymore. That's not very smart.
I don't know what his actual chess move. I mean, people at that level, they're playing chess. They're like 3 moves ahead of you.
I hate it.
You know what I mean? Like I don't know what he's really up to. But all of those people are 3, 4, 5 moves ahead of what we think we know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think with Mayweather, I don't know if that he's insinuating there might be another rematch. That'd be pretty fucking cool.
Or maybe he just wanted to tweet to him with nothing behind it.
I don't believe it. At that level, I don't believe it.
Maybe he just said it, and sometimes you say some shit just to say it, and then it catches traction, and you're like, oh shit, I didn't even see it like that. Okay.
Very true.
I'm going to do that.
I mean, that could also be possible.
Yeah, but you don't buy it.
I don't buy it because when you're at that level, each tweet that you tweet is a potential $100,000 to $1 million tweet. I don't know if they would waste it on something
I don't know,
that
man.
doesn't set the next thing up.
Some people do some dumb shit.
Very true, too.
That's why their asses get canceled. You know what I mean?
Yeah, very true.
Sometimes, but I don't know. I just hope I don't know. I just like where I'm at right now. You know? Well, a couple people know my name, and I think that's really cool. I don't want to be more than where I'm at now.
So what would happen? Like, let's say you got to 1 million followers, you blocked the other half, all the new 500,000 that follow you.
No, I just don't want to change my lifestyle. You know what I mean? But
that's inevitable. The more famous you get, the more people are gonna know. And then someone like you who really values privacy, you're gonna have to change your lifestyle. I know.
I guess we'll see. We'll get there when we get there. I might become like Dave Chappelle, and not to say Dave Chappelle, like I'm comparing myself to Dave Chappelle, but I might be.
I think you are
as known as Dave Chappelle, and then I'm gonna be like, fuck this, and I'm just gonna disappear. Yeah.
He pretty much disappears every day. He lives in like Ohio or something in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Do you think people are probably reaching out to him freaking Black Lives Matter or whatever. It's like, how do you reach out to him? You can't.
You gotta
He's
talk
gone.
to his agent's agent probably.
You can't. He's fucking Dave Chappelle and he's gone and he comes in and out. I don't even know if he...
People probably blowing up his kids' phones.
Yeah, I don't even know if he responded to Black Lives Matter, but I'm just saying that's how he disappeared.
He doesn't even have social media, I don't think. So I don't even know if he can.
Yeah, I have no idea.
But
I think I follow him on Twitter, but he never tweets.
He'll for sure talk about it.
I don't know.
He'll for sure talk about his next stand-up though.
I can't wait.
That's where he channels all his content.
I can't wait. I mean, he's so profound, man. Like the shit he says always keeps my ass thinking. I'm like, damn, I didn't even see it like that.
Yeah.
He's a fucking genius. So I can't wait to hear his 2 cents on what 2020 was all about. Because this year was fucking nuts.
It was the craziest year of
my lifetime.
Yeah, my lifetime too.
It was. And even my mom's. Because I'm like, Mom, have you ever lived through anything like this? She's like, fuck no.
I was talking to some friends whose parents have lived through the 92 riots, and they said that's way crazier than the protests now.
I bet.
Because 92 riots, there was like straight up gunfights and like just shooting back and forth.
I bet.
Whereas I think at least now
and
for the
racism was crazier.
Yeah, at least the protests now, it's for a good cause. And yeah, there's a couple like loose ends of like looters and people. Oh, did you see there's a homicide went up 250% during the whole protests.
Fuck, because they just didn't have enough police.
Yeah, all the cops that usually patrol the neighborhoods are on the streets trying to make sure that nothing goes crazy, and then there's looters and stuff, so they're quote unquote distracted.
Yeah, I saw during the protests the looters would come in a car, like everything was already planned out. Come in, they put the shit in the car, and then the police try to chase them, but because the police are still tied to the parameters of the protest because they got to contain that, or I mean, I guess they felt like they needed to contain that. I don't know. That's a whole nother thing, but so yeah, they have to stay within those parameters. So now we have like the helicopter following the high-speed chase, but the high-speed chase ends once they reach that parameter limit, and then the guy just takes off. But the helicopter's still following, going, I think they're gonna still pursue him. And they're like, wait, we don't see any cars behind him at all. Like, this is live on news. And they're like, well, I don't see any police behind him at all.
We just don't have enough police to do all that.
Exactly. They don't have enough police. So I guess that's it. He just got away. Hopefully we got his license plate number.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, that's fucking wild. But I think too, what helped this time around is obviously the education, right? Like people are way more aware of like the racism that's happening.
Yeah.
There's a lot more stories.
That part's really, really cool.
It's really cool. Like the stories are actually being shared because due to the internet and globalism, like now we're way more connected than we've ever been. And the amount that we can share information at is so instantaneous that if something happens in like Georgia or in London or in Asia, then we post it, and within seconds, now we know how to act as a community. Even if we're not in the same country, like it just felt,
cool.
It felt really cool. So united during the
like a global community.
Like when Black Lives Matter movement was happening, I felt so connected to everyone. Where I was just like, damn, we hella are brothers and sisters right now. Like this is fucking beautiful. Like I felt the pain when I needed to feel the pain. I felt the relief when I needed to feel the relief. I felt the anger. I felt like I had so many emotions with everyone at the exact same time that it was so moving, because it's like on my phone, I was getting to see like the injustice. I was getting to see the unity. I was getting to see the peace. And it was really beautiful to witness.
It just sucks that meanwhile people are getting shot like crazy.
It's horrible.
And it gets an increase by 250%.
Yeah, it's horrifying. It definitely is horrifying.
Because I think what people don't realize is criminals are criminals, right? So like if I'm a criminal and I'm criminally minded, the minute I know there's not going to be cops, if the person that I hate, I'm going to go shoot their ass now.
Yeah.
That's the part that sucks.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that people are put in positions where they feel like they need to commit crime. Whether it's a lack of resources or what. I mean, I guess it is a lack of resources, It just
not
sucks.
always. I mean, that's why there's entire prisons full of white collar crime too. There's like, that's what they call like Club Med or whatever, where they know that's the good prison to go to. There's tax evasion. There's, all the the financial companies that we bail out, I don't know if they're a lack of resources.
They just want more resources.
Yeah, it's just I mean,
they want to pile on.
For some reason, there's this crime. There's crime, and I don't know, people that commit crime. It sucks because that's wasting tax dollars too. But they're criminals, so I already don't think that they have the same the society's best interest in mind. You know.
I mean, I don't know, because it's like it's a case by case type of thing. You know, you gotta understand why it is that they went down the path that they did. And I think that's what the justice system is trying to
like. Why
uphold.
did you embezzle $20 million?
Yeah. Like what steps led to that shit, you know? And then how do we, like, obviously it's a bad thing. So we have to punish you for that because we don't want this to continue if we just slap you on the wrist, even though that happens all the fucking time too. But yeah, it's just understanding that individual and being like, okay, why did we end up here? What are the steps, you know? And like, is it a failed system? Is it a failed is it the failed education system? Is it a failed, you know, jobs? Like what system failed?
That's the tough part. Because while I'm going, so why are you blasting the guy that you have beef with now that there's no cops in your streets? While I'm asking this question, 2 people are blasting people behind me. That's the tough part.
Yeah, but then why? That's what I'm saying. Like, why did that happen? Why does that need to happen? Those are the questions I'm asking.
Why does what?
Like blasting. Why does that have to happen?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like while you're asking this.
No, I know it's not an action. It's a rhetorical for this conversation, but I'm just saying like we need to ask the why.
And I'm asking rhetorically your why. Like while you're figuring out why, there's that energy spent on figuring out the why is already energy spent not putting on the Band-Aid.
Yeah.
And it's tough because it's a catch-22, right? Like you have to know the reason why to find the appropriate solution. But it's just so tough where like sometimes it's maybe the whole collateral damage and everything is a necessary evil.
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
I don't know. I don't
it's like,
know.
While I'm asking you, so this is metaphorically and literally, right?
I
ask you why. While I'm asking you why, I get shot. So another person is asking why this happened. That person gets shot. So it's just while the why is happening, there's still even more shit happening.
Yeah. I mean,
it's just tough.
I mean, we've just been asking the why maybe the wrong way for fucking ever. You know, maybe we need to start asking new questions or start implementing better things. Because it's like these questions are being asked, but like something happens where it gets blocked somehow or it just stops. And why does it stop? So that's another one, you know, because we've been going through this for years. Like it was so heartbreaking to hear people being interviewed, like protesters being interviewed, and then them saying, yeah, man, like I have a grandpa at home who's 90 and he still can't believe that I'm going to go out and do what he did when he was my age. And it's like nothing's fucking changed, you know?
I think we need to demand change, and I think we need to demand ourselves of change.
Yeah. I think that's happening now. I feel like
and then this is what I mean by it, right? Like I think people, they get motivated and they jump on the thing. And I think this is the part of human nature that fucks us up. So how many people you think donated to like any of the Black Lives Matters movements?
I don't know.
Probably a lot because it's
a lot, yeah.
in our faces right now.
Yeah.
Right. So then people might be donating $100, $1,000, whatever. They're donating right here, right now. In 6 months, if someone from a Black Lives Matters person comes up to people and tries to solicit another donation to continue the change, I feel like there's probably, I mean, even statistics probably show over 50% are going to be like, no, I'm good. You know what I mean? So that's the part that sucks, where if you need change, we got to continue the change. So maybe even the donation, instead of being a one-time thing, it needs to be like, everyone, let's all donate $1 or let's donate $10 infinitely.
Yeah.
Until we see change happen. So we don't rely on our emotional state and, oh, we're so woke right now to make the change. Like when you, sir, I know you're trying to donate $100, but if we want to see real change, it needs to be continuous until it happens. You donate $1 a month for the rest of your life. Is that cool with you?
Yeah. Well, so I saw this and I really wholeheartedly believe this. So like we're part of the millennials, right? We're like at the beginning of the millennials.
And we're at the end of the millennials.
We're at
the beginning. I'm so sorry.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome very much.
So we're at the beginning of of millennialism. So we are millennials, but now we have the Gen Z now that now they're starting to vote, they're starting to be heard and stuff. And they're completely different than the fucking new school millennials of like the stereotypical, like, I'm entitled, but I'm not going to do shit. I'm smart, but I'm underqualified, but like I deserve more. And like, I need to get a prize because at least I participated, you know, type of personality or just the stereotypes that are put on millennials.
Yeah.
So Gen Z now is the more woke generation that's more like, wait a minute, I care about your feelings and you should care about your feelings and we should be unified. And like, I fucking love Gen Z.
How old is Gen Z?
I forgot the years.
Okay. But
Yeah,
are they the new news?
Yeah, they're the new news.
Is Tycho Gen Z or no? He's already next one.
I don't know.
Okay.
You're asking too many questions.
Oh, sorry.
And then I saw this thing on online, and it was cool. So to give you a little bit more context, right now that these protests are happening, there's a lot of kids. I'm talking about they're probably like 10. They're having those heavy conversations about racism with their parents, and they're calling their fucking parents out, and not calling them out in a disrespectful way, but really challenging their ideals and really having that heavy conversation with them and saying, hey, this isn't right. How you view them is incorrect.
I remember having those too with my parents.
Cool, but I'm just saying with the Gen Z right now, like I remember having those too, but that's the type of shit that's happening. There's a bunch of videos and they're just putting their fucking parents on blast,
I think that's dope.
not showing their faces, but at least the conversation.
I think that's so dope.
And it is really cool. You know what I mean? Because it takes a very bold, brave person to do that. And it's just cool to see that at that age group and the Gen Zs like stepping up to the plate and going like, wait a minute, fuck this shit. Like, we're going to be the change, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And we've even read articles too where Gen Z is going to, they're going to fucking
save the world, hopefully.
Basically, right? So this is what I read. It said Gen Z out here, bold as fuck, arguing with their racist parents, putting their misogynistic pastors on blast, calling out the sketchy uncle twice removed, all while catching it on tape with perfect editing. Y'all worried me a bit when you started eating those Tide Pods, but y'all are growing up to be a fine group of people. Keep making us proud. And it says love millennials.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really dope.
Yeah, and I was like, damn, that is fucking sick. Thank you so much, Gen Z. Y'all are gonna make the change. Y'all are teaching us so much.
Thank you so much.
But yeah, I think we went over on this one a little bit. But yeah, this was a good conversation. I think there's just a lot of change that needs to happen. But I think
be the change.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Gandhi said that shit, you know?
And continue the change. Don't just, that's the problem, you know? I think human nature.
You're judging though. I think
I'm not judging. I'm not really judging.
You're being kind of judgy.
I'm not.
I think it should just be.
I'm basing off history. Be the change, continue the change.
Yeah.
Because people, they demand change. And I don't know, it's a homie's birthday and they forget about it. Don't forget. Keep it going.
I mean, yeah, obviously do that. But I think it just starts within, you know? Like, just change yourself and operate with love. And I think literally if everyone knew how to love like properly and love for the sake of loving and not for the sake of getting anything in return, because then that's not love, but pure love. If you know how to give that off, then that means you know how to receive it. And if we all practice that, imagine how different that would be. Like the whole world would be. If you just worried about yourself and worried about giving love, you don't have to worry about anything else because now it's assumed that everyone else is doing the same thing. And now when we do meet up, guess what's happening? There's just love.
That's what I mean. But continue the love. Don't listen to this podcast, get amped and give love for the next 2 days. Give love 5 years after listening to this podcast.
Yeah. But yeah, you guys, thank you so much for listening. And thank you to our sponsors.
Shout outs to our sponsor, Noom. You don't have to change it all in one day. Small steps make big progress. Sign up for your trial today at Noom.com/Beaw. That's NOOM.com/BEAW.
And shout outs and thank you to our sponsor, Skillshare, whom I always love, is you're going to get 2 free months of premium membership at Skillshare.com/Beaw, BEAW.
And also, last but not least, me and Ma Bear's brand, BarbellBrigade.com. We just dropped a bunch of supplements. We ship internationally now to US. I mean, US is here, but to Canada and also Australia and also to the UK.
Internationally now, all over the place.
Even in the weird countries you never heard of?
I mean, I guess so.
So all of our weird listeners in the if you live in the armpit of some random country, we could send it to you too. And last but not least, we just dropped our identity line, so go check that out, barbellbrigade.com.